Hi, Analisa Six here with the Sober Curator and the Lady of Leisure to bring you the April 2023 horoscope for the zodiac sign of Taurus. Doing this for your sun and rising sign. So burpy right now. I'm drinking Topo Chico and it's just not the best thing to drink when you're trying to do videos. I'm so sorry. It's so disgusting. Hi, Taurus people. How are you? It is almost your season, almost your time to shine, kind of. I'm recording this on April 7th, so I'm pretty behind on getting these out on time. But you know, it's just, hey, it's what happens when you're a fatigued person all the time. You just can't. My body comes first. I think Taurus understands that. Taurus rules a lot of the body. I mean, it doesn't rule the body, but it rules the body in my mind. It's a very body-centered sign. The earth, you know, connected to the earth, fixed earth element, nourishment, self-worth, all those good things. All the earth signs I feel are very body-centered, but especially Taurus and Virgo. Capricorn feels a little too focused on the world, and I feel like Taurus and Virgo have more of this connection to health and nourishment and pleasure. Taurus is pleasure. Virgo is more the routines that we put into place around our health, those things. But let's talk about you, Taurus. So your birthday begins on the 20th of April. And by that, I mean your birthday month. I'm a Leo, so, you know, we celebrate our entire month as our birthday month. I know that Tauruses tend to be a little more practical than that, but I'm giving you permission to celebrate the whole month of your sign if you need that permission. Also, prior to your season, we have quite a bit of energy in Taurus right now. Uranus has been in Taurus for a while, so nobody cares about that anymore. But we have, you know, going into April, we have Venus in Taurus, Juno in Taurus, and then Mercury is now in Taurus now that it's April 7th. Mercury entered your fixed earth sign on the 4th, it looks like, the 3rd, the 4th of April. So currently today we've got Mercury in your sign. So this is a really positive time having Venus and Mercury in Taurus to really be focusing on yourself, focusing on what brings you pleasure, what brings you a strong sense of self, a strong sense of who you are to yourself, not necessarily who you are to other people or what you do for other people, but what do you do for yourself? How do you bring joy and pleasure into your life? Venus rules pleasure. Venus is your ruling planet, you know, and so it's a really good time for you to focus on acts of kindness and giving yourself permission to experience pleasure and joy is really positive for you. The way that Taurus benefits from these types of transits or frequencies is through cooking, earthing, connecting to the earth, connecting to nature, doing creative projects. A lot of Taurus dominant people really enjoy art. So if there's artistic projects that you enjoy doing, now is a really good time to indulge in that. Even if you're not doing it professionally or it's not something that you want to share with other people, it's not about that. It's a good time for you to do that kind of stuff for yourself. Having Venus in, I don't think that's going to show up on the video. I don't think my screen's sharing, so it's okay. I got a text message from somebody just now and I like glanced over at it. That's what I was looking at. And I was like, I hope that doesn't show up in the video because it's a private, it's a very personal text message. But yeah, so there's a lot of things that are really positive when we have Venus passing through our own sign in a horoscope capacity. Also doing things that make you feel good about yourself, like your appearance. So the way that you dress, the way that you put yourself together, certain beauty rituals, you know, which are different for everybody. I mean, I really like wearing makeup. And so beauty rituals for me tend to kind of like, there's kind of a whole process of it with me. I really enjoy like taking a really nice shower where I just like, I wash everything, get really clean, use all the good smelling things. And then when I get out of the shower, I have lots of things that I like to put on lotion wise, body oils, perfumes, skin lotions and serums. And then, you know, I wash my hair. I also have like a leave-in hair mask that I do when I wash my hair. And sometimes I like to curl my hair. And then I really enjoy certain jewelry and also like wearing certain clothing, even if it's casual. Like I wear a lot of Aviator Nation and it's just sweatshirts and leggings and sweats, but each piece is kind of unique and has its own kind of funky art, kind of thing going on with it. And it makes me feel good. It's comfy. And, I feel like Taurus really likes comfy too. So I like things that are comfy, but that are cute, that like, I like to be cute and put together in my comfiness. And those are things for me that are like kind of my beauty rituals, and putting makeup on too. I really enjoy putting makeup on, getting my nails done. Those are all very Venusian things, especially Venus and Taurus, beautifying the body. But even if that's not necessarily the way you enjoy doing those things for yourself, I'm just sharing what I like to do in my very Leo way. But for Taurus, it might be something else. You might enjoy rituals around yourself that are, more natural. Like maybe you don't like to do anything with your hair, or you don't like to wear makeup necessarily, but maybe there's a certain skincare routine that you have. Maybe you like going and getting a massage, maybe going to a spa. Maybe there's, little things like that that you like to indulge in that are really healing and healthy for you. So April is a really good time for you to indulge in pleasurable self-care, I guess, if that makes sense. Also, Taurus dominant people really enjoy connecting with food and with other people through food. So while Venus is in Taurus, which we only have a few more days left actually, but that can also be really positive for you. Treat yourself out to some good meals or cook some good meals. It can be very grounding for you to be able to do that more mindfully or intentionally, especially if it's like a recipe that you've been wanting to try but haven't had the time to do, maybe prioritizing that. So we start out April with a lot of really empowering energy in that way. And then Venus, your planet, is going to be leaving you in pretty soon here. So in a few days. So on around the 10th, 11th, we're going to have Venus move into the mutable air sign of Gemini. And where this is highlighted for you is in your money house. And Venus in the money house is great. We actually really want Venus here as long as she can, as long as she will stay and will tolerate being here. We're like, yes, stay as long as you want. Venus actually rules this house. This is the house that Taurus traditionally rules. But in the horoscope chart, you have Gemini here. And so this is a really positive time for you to think of creative ways to generate more self-worth around how you gain and receive your material resources in abundance. And so there's two things that kind of happen. We have an opportunity to reflect on our relationship to our self-worth. Do we currently work at a capacity where we feel like we're getting paid a fair wage for the work that we do? And if we don't feel that way, what do we need to do to change that? And then also, this is a really positive time to just generate more income into our life. So if we're self-employed, this could be a really good time, with Gemini being the theme, to overly analyze and think of different ways to bring more income in. If we're working for somebody else, this is actually a really positive time to ask for a raise or a promotion, or find out what we need to do at our job to get that. Or if we're at a job that's kind of a dead end and we know we're ready to elevate and make more, then we want to start brainstorming, what do we need to do to find a new job where we can make more money? So that's something, those are all good things to be thinking about. Probably not the best month to actually take action on leaving a job or starting a new job, because we do have Mercury stationing retrograde in your sign of Taurus towards the end of the month. So around the 21st, Mercury is going to station retrograde in Taurus, and it's going to be in retrograde in Taurus until the middle of May, and then it'll continue through Taurus through May, and it's not going to enter Gemini until June. So we'll talk about more of that next month, but it's good to know that the end of April, the last part of April, like the last week and a half of April, is going to be Mercury retrograde in your sign of Taurus, and it's going to be in the area that has to do with the self, the identity. And so you probably will be reflecting on your relationship to self, and whether or not you feel empowered in yourself, whether or not you feel like you're in alignment with who you are. And, are there things that you want to change about your appearance? Probably not the best time to take action on that, but maybe a great time to think about it. Like, what do you want to call into your life that brings you more into harmony with how you perceive yourself and who you are? And Venus being in Gemini by that point, by the time that Mercury stations retrograde, should help you feel more empowered to take those steps. But again, Mercury retrograde is not a great time for action. It's a great time for reflection, right? So it's good to kind of start making the plans or getting the ducks in the row or thinking about, Taurus is a very realistic, practical sign. What are the realistic, practical steps in order to create the life that I want to live for myself? Mars is going to be passing through the area of communication for Taurus this month, in the sign of Cancer. And again, Mars is not super empowered in Cancer. It tends to take things really personally and have emotional reactions that are sometimes a little bit more explosive than what we would like. And Taurus, of course, this is super generalized just for a Taurus archetype. We're all so nuanced, it really depends on you. But Taurus is really good at stonewalling and trying to paint this stoic face of like, I'm not emotional, I'm practical, I'm realistic. And yeah, Taurus people are very emotional and be very, very reactive and very, yes, you can stonewall and totally deadpan, but it doesn't mean that the feeling and the emotion isn't still written all over you. To somebody like me who's an empath and I can feel everything underneath the stoic face, so it doesn't even matter. But Mars in Cancer, it's like it's breaking past the wall and it's saying these are my feelings, I need to be vulnerable and I need to talk and communicate these feelings. And so you're not going to be successful in April trying to bottle things in with Mars and Cancer in your area of communication. Like, this is the time to be vulnerable. This is the time to have conflict and work on things. And conflict can be positive. It doesn't mean that you have to have an actual fight or be abusive or be aggressive. It can mean that you're just confronting feelings and talking about them and trying to find calm resolution. And hopefully Venus and Gemini will help all of us through this period and finding a middle ground and peaceful resolution. I'm not going to talk too much about the outer planets, horoscopes. It makes more sense to talk about the inner planets. The outer planets all did a big shift that I talked about last month, and we're just in it now. So I'm going to try to stay on task with that. But I will talk about a couple of the aspects that are happening. There's probably more than this, but I'm just going to talk about a couple of the more significant ones. So Venus and Pluto are making a trine at 0 degrees on the 11th. And the area that's hitting for Taurus has to do with your career and also the money that you're making. So again, this is a really good time to be trying to level up in the work that you're doing. If this means generating more business, if you're self-employed, or saying yes to opportunities coming your way so that you can generate more money, this is the time to do that. If you're trying to get a raise, this is the time to do that. Or if you're starting to brainstorm, not necessarily leave a job, but brainstorm an exit strategy and applying for jobs for more money, this might be the time to start thinking about that and making plans to do that. So around the 11th is a good time to start that. But again, make note that Mercury is going to be stationing retrograde later on towards the end of the month in your sign. So I wouldn't expect, like, if you want to leave your job and you want to go make more money, I wouldn't expect to really land in a positive space until June, because that's when Mercury is moving out of Taurus and into Gemini, and we're starting, Venus moves into Leo, Mars is in Leo, Jupiter is going to be in Taurus by that point, which is really positive for you. So June is a much better month to be actually making those transitions. But April's a good time to start setting the intentions and kind of brainstorming if you're planning on jumping ship and finding a new job. If you're self-employed and you're just trying to generate more buzz or income and clients, or let's just say the opportunities are coming to you and you're debating on whether or not to say yes to them, I think this is a good time to say yes. Again, once Mercury is retrograde, you might have some challenges, but it's still a good learning opportunity in how to do things more efficiently, or you might learn through that in a positive way for setting yourself up better in the future for what you want to take on. Let's get into the lunar phases. So we've got a full moon that happened yesterday that was in Aries. The full moon, I guess, was in Libra, but Aries, Libra, full moon, 16 degrees of Libra. And where that hit in your chart had to do with your own relationship to your subconscious and kind of the area of the self that you don't show to other people, right? The subconscious, we also sometimes aren't even aware of what's happening in our subconscious. And where Aries lies in Taurus horoscope chart is the area where the subconscious is subdued. when it comes to your, I'm sorry, I'm saying this all wrong because I'm getting super tired. The identity is subdued and not at the forefront in a confident way. Like it's a very behind the scenes kind of thing happening that maybe is sometimes an afterthought. I don't know if that makes sense, but hopefully it does. And so we have kind of a lot of this Aries energy that's been highlighted for you. And what is the subconscious relationship to self that maybe you're unaware of, that you haven't been working on as intentionally? That's been being pulled up for you to start working on more intentionally over the last couple months. And then we have the Libra moon in the opposite direction that's a little bit more actualized and kind of highlighting your relationship to your health and also the way that you structure your day, the daily routine house, and how you, whether you're passive or active in the choices that you make every day, if that makes sense. It's a very like kind of Libra energy for that area. And so it was really positive for you to kind of be reflecting on daily routine actions and how that impacts your subconscious relationship to self, and then how, whether or not those things are working for you and whether or not you want to modify or change those things to benefit you more moving forward. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does. It makes sense in my brain. I'm getting really tired, so this might be the last video I do today. I haven't gotten very far today with the videos. We just had that full moon. And so if you feel like you're reflecting a lot on your routines, your mundane day-to-day, and just maybe kind of more of this confusion around what you're doing on the day-to-day, this is a good time to kind of set intentions around changes that you want to make around that. And learning from other people. I mean, Aries is very indignant on what it knows or who it is. And Libra is a lot more receptive and passive to the energy of other people and what they have to bring and offer. And so this is also a positive time for you to learn from others, maybe, and get some other perspectives or clarity if there's things that you're having a hard time with in your own life. And maybe you're not having a hard time, maybe things are okay, but it's also just positive for you to incorporate some new routines in if you feel stagnant anywhere. So once we get closer to Taurus season, we're going to have a new moon on April 20th at 29 degrees Aries. And then right after that, the sun and the moon are going to move into your sign of Taurus, and they're still in that new moon window. And so it's almost like we have a new moon in Taurus and a new moon in Aries. So we have this like really cool kind of ability to set some intentions towards who we want to be for the next chapter, the next month, you know, the next year, essentially, because we also are entering eclipse season during this time. This is a new moon solar eclipse. And so setting that intention around identity with the Aries theme and healing any wounds within the subconscious around identity is a big theme for you, the Taurus person. And then once that moon and sun move into your sign and it's your season, you also have this opportunity to kind of set an intention for you as the Taurus in who you want to be out in the world. Like it's kind of a little bit more extroverted and not so subconscious, if that makes sense. There was something else that happens around this time. I think it's, let's see. Yeah, then the Mercury retrograde happens right after that. I think that's what I was thinking about. So it's interesting. It's an interesting kind of segue into Taurus season to have this like eclipse energy in Aries that is very much an ending at 29 degrees, having it the last degree of Aries, and then this like renewal again into Taurus. And Taurus, you know, represents life. Taurus is the bringer of fertility in life. And so a really fun thing to do around this time would be to do some gardening projects or get some new plants or decorate your house in some kind of way and do something, you know, that's really grounding and earth focused, body focused, health focused. Movement is probably really positive during this time. And if you feel any repressed anger, you know, I think that people that have a lot of this stuff going on in their chart right now are probably having a lot of anger that needs to get released or energy, adrenaline that needs to get released. It might be good for you to kind of plan around this new moon on the 20th, some kind of extroverted activity to get some of that fire energy out. And then something really grounding and comforting to kind of come in right after, like a massage or meditation or spending time in nature, like working with soil, that kind of stuff. I mean, that just sounds so healing and good to me for this energy that's coming in. I really like the idea of that. Yeah, I think that's good. I think I'm gonna leave it there because I'm fading. I feel like I'm just word salading right now. I think these horoscopes are gonna be a little rough for me, so I apologize. But happy birthday to all you Taurus people for the month of April. And I wish you the best of luck and hope that you have a great entry into spring.